Hi everyone, Alexandra Jarrett, Jupiter Returns here with your weekly astrology forecast for the week of the 18th to the 25th of October 2020. I hope you're all well. We have a really opportunistic and helpful week ahead of us, and I really want to get everyone aligned with that. If you connect with me also on Facebook and Instagram and read the messages that I put out there, hopefully you've already got an inkling of the kinds of energies that we've got coming up for us. I'm calling this week a week of creative solutions. And we've got lots and lots and lots to go through. That is really, really helpful. I'm really pleased to be able to bring you some uplifting kind of energy to add into everything that's been going on. We've come through a pretty intense new moon. Well, all of last week was pretty intense with the Mars retrograde going on, and then we had the new moon over there in Libra in opposition, creating a T-square. So the weekend was pretty intense. There was some energy of disappointment potentially around as well, or disillusionment of some kind. Had an opposition between Venus and Neptune. These things are behind us now. And the new moon in Libra, Libra energy being ruled by Venus. And we're going to be talking a lot about Venus today, I'm happy to say. So this was a new start, a brand new beginning in the sign that's all about balance, equilibrium, fairness, harmony, beauty, justice, all of these wonderful ideas that we like. And also it's about the we, okay? It's the opposite sign to Aries, Libra. And I always refer to this as the me versus we axis. This is all about me and Aries, what I am, what I want. And then the opposite to that, therefore, is the ability to compromise and to work with others and find the balance point between what I want and what the other person wants in order to sort of create a collaboration. So wherever Libra is in your chart, that's where we had that wonderful new moon start and infused with a lot of Venus energy. So where do we find ourselves today then? Obviously, we've still got two of the personal planets in retrograde motion. And this has been a really important part of 2020. We've had Mercury goes in and out of retrograde at least 3 times every year. So we're quite familiar with that energy. It happens quite frequently. But this year we've had both Mars and Venus going through their retrogrades. And so this year has really been about going within, withdrawing. It's not been a year which is quite fortunate in view of the larger scale issues, but it's not really been a year about making things happen out there in the world. It's been more of a case of going within and working out who I am and what I want and where I'm going, in order so that next year, when the personal planets are going direct and staying direct, that's the year when we can make those things come into being. But this is a year about getting the foundations right, about bringing old cycles to a close. So it's a year of preparation, getting your ducks in a row, getting yourself sorted out, getting the foundation right, and letting go of the things, that don't serve you, in terms of going into that bright new future that is really, really, really starting to show on the horizon now. So we've still got 2 of these planets, these personal planets, in retrograde at this point in time. And so that tells us that there's still work going on deep down inside. And really, as I've been encouraging everyone right from the start of the year, to stay in your own lane, essentially. With Mars in Aries, this is really try very, very hard just to bring the attention back to the self. What am I all about? What do I need to change? What can I do? Because it's very feisty energy. Mars and Aries are energies that are about going out and making things happen. It's quite rash, it's quite impulsive, and it's quite driven. And it's like, I want that, I'm going to get that. You know, it's that kind of energy. And it can be quite fired up. And with some of these hard aspects that have been building and that we've been going through with the squares to the triple conjunction in Capricorn up here, it's provoked an awful lot of tension, a lot of fighting, a lot of conflict. And as we've seen this weekend, you know, with the Mars in opposition to that new moon, often violence, you know, really just going overboard with asserting the sense of self and the egoic demands. And so if we can just always just bring it back when we get ourselves being caught up in that more separating, divisive kind of energy. Mars is a cutting energy, wants to be free and individual. It's not really interested in, you know, connecting like Venus does. It's the opposite to that. It wants to be separate. And so when we get caught up in this energy of you and I, or this and this situation, and where I see it a divided, a separated, or aggressive, you know, all of this stuff that's been coming up, it's a really great idea just to capture that energy, because that's really useful energy. Passion is just so useful. If you can capture it and you be the master of it rather than it being the master of you, then you have a very powerful creative force on your side. And so this is what I'm trying to encourage people to do, is say, okay, let me capture all that passion, but let me just get you to engage you know, some consciousness into the situation and say, well, hang on a second, I'm feeling all this motivation. I'm feeling this stirring of my expressive and creative energies. What can I put that to better use in? And I would suggest that's better use in terms of crafting, redefining who you are as an individual, Aries, you know, redefining. And this is certainly something that Mercury retrogrades help us to do, is just say, oh, okay, let me just go back into me, check out where I am. You know, this is Alexandra in 2020. Where am I at in my sense of self? And how does that need looking at again? You know, we're constantly evolving. We are constantly becoming ourselves. And so this is a really great opportunity just to reflect upon that. And to get that right, so that going forwards, when we start the new cycle that we're coming into very shortly, you know, we're coming from the right place. Okay. So enough of that. So Monday the 17th, then let's get into the astrology of this week. Monday the 17th, we have the moon has now moved around through Scorpio and into this sign of Sagittarius, optimistic, hopeful Sagittarius, ruled by the planet Jupiter. This is now clearly into the phase of the waxing crescent moon. So she's pulling away from the sun and starting to grow in the sky. Each night you'll now see her getting bigger and bigger and bigger as she's actually moving into where she become a full moon in the sign of Taurus, which is a Venus-ruled earth sign. And that's something just to have there present in your mind, as that's what we're working towards in the next couple of weeks. So she's building, full of optimism, full of opportunity and growth with this Sagittarian influence here. Jupiter, the ruler of the moon today, however, is in a square aspect with this Mars retrograde. So this is, you know, Mars retrograde is really working over this whole triple conjunction that has been the dominant feature of the astrology of 2020, this dissolving and breaking apart of the current structure, the current fabric of our society, in order to rebuild something that's more fit for purpose, essentially. And so the Mars retrograde has really been all about, well, what part do I play in that process? what part have I played and what part do I want to play in the future? And future is something that Jupiter is really, really, really focused on. Jupiter loves that next horizon out there and loves to focus on, okay, let's make something amazing happen that's even better than what we already have. With the square to Mars, it's actually, it is a square aspect. So there is some tension and provocation. But, you know, this actually is filling us with motivation, like an inspiration to take action. It's making us feel a little bit more, because we may have been feeling quite demotivated and a bit flat and a bit stale lately. And this is helping to pull us out of that energy and just saying, come on, let's get out there, let's make something happen. So it's really, really good for feeling an increase in energy. Mars is our juice, our mojo, our energy. So the aspect to Jupiter there is helping to boost that. It likes, and particularly in these cardinal signs, it's liking starting something, initiating something, getting something going. So you might have kind of woken up Monday morning feeling like, yeah, let's go out and make some stuff happen, which is really, really nice. And I'd love you to capture that. On the downside, it can be a little bit overreaching. It can be, and particularly with the moon in Sag as well, we can feel a little bit overconfident or feel like we're potentially capable of a little bit more than we are. So you need to look out for being a bit overzealous, perhaps a bit overconfident, or overreaching your own capabilities. So, you know, don't overpromise based on this, because we all know what that leads to. And be careful of just, you know, burning yourself out. It's very, very hot, fiery energy. Also, watch out for being quite zealous or even potentially over-righteous about your beliefs. Jupiter represents our own personal philosophy. You know, what are my ethics? What are my moral standards? You know, what are my real founding kind of morals around life, my personal politics? And so we can, and I've noticed this a lot this year, particularly with the Mars retrograde, this can be weaponized. You know, this can be a situation where we really are quite fierce about what we believe, particularly when it comes to truth. Jupiter Sagittarius energy is known as the truth seeker. And often this confidence of our belief, our personal belief, is like, I'm the one that's right, and anyone else that can't see this is inferior to me. There can be a bit of a superiority thing going on with an excess of Jupiter, and of course that will depend on where it's showing up in your chart and your sort of starting position. But just watch out for that in yourself and in others, because that's a potential way that this expression could show up. But try and tap into the motivating and exciting and stimulating. It's wanting to make something happen. So if you planted some intentional seeds, if you had some ideas with that new moon about what you want to make happen in your life, then this is some really great energy to give that a boost. So redefining the self with Mars, and so specifically looking at what are my personal ethics and beliefs, and how do I use those? And is that something, the use of them or them in their own right, is that something that now needs to just be re-gone over in some way? Another wonderful energy that we have going on, that I was sort of tapping us into with my writing over the weekend, is this beautiful aspect again to Jupiter, the trine aspect. And this is where I really see that this is going to assist this process to bring out the better, more desirable qualities of that. Really just saying, okay, let's use that Mars square there as rocket fuel to get this moving. So this is the trine aspect between the two benefic planets, Venus, goddess of love, beauty, fairness, harmony, connection, and creativity. And this is in Earth sign Virgo. Virgo is all around, Virgo energy really relates to improving things, making things better, taking something as it is and saying, okay, how can I improve upon this? How can I make it better? How can I heal it? Essentially, the sign of Virgo is very, very concerned with health and healing, purifying, refining, beautifying, all of these qualities, just improving in some way. And that the ways that it uses are very, very practical. This is an earth sign. So this isn't sitting down writing poetry. Venus in Virgo here takes very practical steps to beautify and to improve and to heal. So it's actually doing something physical and tangible. These Virgo people are really good with their hands usually quite skilled people who like to do DIY, that like to do beauty treatments and things like that. Anything where they can use their hands to make a physical impact on what it is that they're improving. And then it's also the sign of service. This is where we are, this is our work life, essentially. In terms of the day-to-day order of the day, our routine, you know, what we go through each day in terms of I get up at this time, I brush my teeth at this time, I have breakfast at this time. So this is all about that kind of very specific, putting things into an ordered system and working in a way that is showing up in service to other people and seeing the beauty and the opportunity of doing that, you know, having that opportunity to make an improvement or to help in some way other people gives us such a powerful sense of purpose in life. And we all really, really need that. And I think it's very missing in a lot of the occupations that are present at the moment. You know, a lot of it just kind of feels a bit pointless and a bit, you know, like, what's the point? You know, I'm just, you know, I don't know, pouring coffees for someone all day or something like that. It, you know, the ways that we can be of service to others, seeing the beauty in that, looking for the ways that we can celebrate the opportunities that we have to just make a small improvement to other people's life. The connection up here to Jupiter then really speaks to that opportunity. Jupiter is all about creating opportunities and looking for ways to expand and to reach more people. You know, this is the sign of the international traveler and looking at different cultures and embracing that broad horizon that lays out there. So this could be a time when this is great energy for looking for a new career path. If you've been hunting for a new job or something, this might be a time when you get the good news about that, or perhaps getting a pay rise even here, or some material and tangible kind of piece of luck. Jupiter represents our luck around money, finances, work, all of these things. But if those things aren't showing up for you, really, it's just embracing the opportunity of how do I show up in service to other people, and what part does that play in the current system? Capricorn's all about the organization, like in very literal terms, in the sense of, you know, the career path and how we kind of achieve a position of status and material abundance. But it's the organization in terms of the wider kind of view, in terms of what part in the bigger system, the bigger organization, the big way of how does this country work? How does the system that I am part of, how does that work? What's the part that I play in that? And how can I bring more of the Venusian qualities into that? Looking for opportunities, creating opportunities to do that. Beautiful, beautiful energy, and it's rocket fueled with Mars. So jump on board with that. I absolutely love it. And there's going to be even more good news with Venus around as we move through the week. So moving into Tuesday, we have on Tuesday, and don't forget some of these energies when I'm talking about, you know, what day they're most present on, they are present kind of a couple of days either side as well, usually more so in the days leading up to them when they're what we call applying. So, you know, do bear in mind that these energies are around sometimes a little bit before when I'm specifically pointing them out. So Tuesday, what we have is an opposition aspect here, and we're building into this today, Monday. We've got the Uranus in Taurus, okay, so Venus ruled Taurus there. And this is the financial axis. We've got Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Scorpio deals with other people's money, resources, and Taurus tends to be your own work life, but these are both very financial. So I'm anticipating potential shocks and surprises in terms of finances. And again, looking at what we were looking at on Monday with this helpful energy between Venus and Jupiter there, I may as well keep that one active actually up there. Then this might be really nice surprise news that comes out. You know, Mercury is information, it's messages, it's news. So that shock and surprise that can be created by Uranus, very sudden, out of the blue kind of energy, this can turn out to be really, really pleasant, even though, you know, we've got a challenging aspect here, but on the back of what else is going on, could turn out really well, and it could be about finances. So shocks and surprises, there may be a sudden revelation. That can be how Uranus can turn up. So, you know, with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, this can be secretive energy, things that have been hidden, information that's been hidden. And that can be on purpose, but it can also be completely, you know, harmless as well. So this can be a revelation of previously hidden information, shocking news potentially. And this can also be real breakthrough energy because, you know, with Mercury retrograding in Scorpio, this is really taking us into our shadows, really taking us into the parts of ourselves that we hide or hide from. And with Uranus here, it can just be a real sudden breakthrough. Like, oh, I've got to the root of the issue. I've got to the core, you know, I've gone right in deep with something. Perhaps faced a fear with Scorpio. And that's given me this real awakening moment and a moment of an increase in my consciousness that's really beautiful and helpful, you know, with this Venus Jupiter energy. It's really, really going to help me move forward in, again, it's an Earth, Uranus here in an Earth sign, in tangible, practical ways in my life that are going to bring me more opportunity and more luck, more beauty, and more abundance. So, you know, there's different ways that this can turn out. And yeah, that will depend upon where it is in your chart, but also, you know, what's going on in the world as well. So a sudden awakening to hidden dimensions of self and what is at the root of any issues that we have. Mercury now in the phase of this retrograde, this is recovering old ground. So it could even be that where there was where we were doing a piece of work or having a conversation or a dialogue of some kind, getting involved in some kind of agreement or contract or any kind of thing to do with information, essentially. It may be that something didn't go quite right, and now we're getting a revisit, we're getting another opportunity. Like where there may have been a missed opportunity, we now have another opportunity to kind of go back over that and put things right. Okay, there can be a real sense of wanting to Be authentic. You know, Uranus is all about, it doesn't really do BS, to be honest. And neither does Scorpio. So this is like, oh, can we just be done with all the hiding and the, you know, the masks and all of this, and just be really, really, really authentic? And that can come across in quite a shocking way, but it's going over old ground. That old ground specifically, very specifically, Mercury was at this degree on October the 7th. So not that long ago. So maybe something as recently as that we now get another opportunity to just revisit and go, okay, can we approach this in a different way, and in a way that's just a little bit more authentic, even if that can be quite shocking potentially. But I can only see that would be a good thing, you know. It's really getting authentic. I can't put it in a better way, really. So yeah, that's October the 7th was when Mercury was at this same point, going over that energy. And this is really, really receptive because, you know, we've got Mercury in a Pluto ruled sign, Scorpio, whilst we've got Venus in Uranus in a Venus ruled sign. And on this day, when now the connection from Venus is moving from a trine to Jupiter into a trine, I'm just going to remove that one, into a trine with Pluto. Okay, so she's now applying into the trine with Pluto. This is the really, really great thing about having these three planets hanging out together so closely, is that, you know, the trine aspect from Venus here is going to give us a hit with each one of them, which is just gorgeous. So yeah, so we have Venus, okay, Uranus over there in a Venus ruled sign, and then we have Pluto, and we have Mercury over there in a Pluto ruled sign. So this is why I really strongly feel that this, whatever goes on here, is really, really going to be beneficial. And something that is going to work towards a very positive transformation. All right, that's what Pluto's all about, that death and rebirth cycle, and really saying, okay, I can be authentic, I can be completely honest, I can be completely myself, and that's going to be received very, very well, and it's going to be part of being an example in the way I conduct myself and conduct my life and how I show up in life, you know, in a really positive way. And it's also, you know, Venus is creative energy, essentially, and making connections. So this is, you know, creating or manifesting a change for the better, transformation, change energy. And Uranus is also change energy. It wants to break us out of the old ways of doing things, break us out of things that are stale and stagnant and past their best, and just say, come on, let's do something new. Let's reinvigorate. Let's just be real here. So it's creating a change for the better. And that may potentially be facilitated by this more authentic and honest communication, or reaching into the heart of a matter that may be hidden in some way. So the Venus Pluto trine will perfect, so that's when it becomes exact, on Wednesday the 21st. And we also have then the moon will have finished her journey through Sagittarius, and now will have moved into Capricorn as well. So this is increasing the amount of earth energy, and earth energy is that tangible manifesting energy. So between the new moon that was here in Libra and the full moon that's going to take place in Taurus, this is the earth energy. So this is really where we bring things into solid, tangible, real manifestation. So we're working with the moon, and as she passes through these energies as well, remember she's waxing, so it's increasing all of that And there's not much time left to work with this situation. You know, we've had it all year, but in just a couple of months' time, both Jupiter and Saturn will have moved out of Capricorn. It's a little bit longer of Pluto there. Pluto's like till 2023, around about that time, remaining in Capricorn. But these guys, Saturn and Jupiter, they're moving on, and I'll be making a video about that soon, because they're going to be coming together in Aquarius to start a whole new cycle. So this is the last couple of months of really working with those energies as they are in Capricorn. So take advantage of the fact that we have this wonderful situation here, this lovely connection with Venus, because that's going to be, this is basically the last of it. Excuse me. So as we move into Thursday, we've got Venus now in an applying aspect to Saturn. And the moon's really in the heart of the triple conjunction in Capricorn there. And so this is where we're kind of really working with that manifesting energy and making it personal. Again, because the moon is going to activate a square down to Mars, that Mars retrograde again. So we can see how this is really saying, okay, what part do I play in this? What can I do? What can I make happen? What can I initiate? What needs to change about me? What needs to be redefined about me? And this is really saying, you know, Venus is all about our values. Okay, what are the things that we value? And so often in life, particularly in our culture here in the West, which is very kind of materialistic, it's all about going out there and working to get money to buy things. Essentially, our lives are organized around that very simple founding kind of principle, essentially. And our values, the things that we think are valuable, the things that we say, oh, I love that, you know, or I want that, or the things that we encourage to have more of in our lives, these are what we essentially call our values. What are the things that we value? What do we think is worth something to us? And I think one of the ways that we can use the certainly the Mercury and Scorpio energy, but also with this Uranus here in Venus's sign, Taurus, of values, is saying, what is it that's underneath that? You know, really getting to the core. Is it that I value money, for example? I would love to have more money. You know, we all would. But is it the money that I value, or is it actually that money would get me the thing that it is that I really value that underlies that? Is that money actually just a means to the end? I think that's where we often get confused. And I would encourage using this energy to actually go behind that and go, okay, well, I may not have this thing that I would like more of in my life. I may not have, for example, I may be single right now and I'd like to be in a relationship, or I may not have a job and I'd like to have a job, or, you know, there may be something that we perceive as being missing that we'd like more of. And it would be a really great time now to just say, well, okay, is it actually that thing that I want? Or is that just something that gets me to what it is that I really want, like the core value underlying that? So is it that perhaps I would like to be in a relationship so that I can feel a different way about myself, or that I can use some of what I have and give some of what I have in a different way? Could it be that, you know, feeling if I had more money or more time or more energy or more friends, Venus, more social life, more holidays, you know, whatever it is, could it be that it's not actually that thing that I want, but that I've viewed that as the thing that I want, when it's actually what might get me to the core underlying thing that I value, which it might be love, which might be the opportunity for creativity in my life, which might be the opportunity to grow in some way in my own skills or understanding, to have a greater sense of purpose in my life, you know, to be able to help other people, you know, whatever it is. It's just examining that in a deeper way and just saying, what is the true value here? We're working with this Pluto Uranus stuff here, Venus stuff. What's the true value that I have? Getting to the core of that and then going, okay, how can I bring that into manifest reality in my life in a different way? You know, maybe circumventing, you know, the means to that end, as it were. I hope that makes sense. It's just something that I feel this whole, the way all of these energies are synergizing and synthesizing together speaks of that to me. So I hope you can embrace that potentially. So how can I make my values into a practical reality? Okay, this is earth energy, so practical realities. How can I bring my values into practical reality once I've understood what's the authentic truth that lays behind them? Okay, so then moving on to Friday. Friday, the sun is now moving into the sign of Scorpio herself. She's starting to apply to the Mercury retrograde, which I'll come on to talk about next week. So we're now in this quarter here of the chart, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. That's basically the third season on the wheel of the year. It's the autumn season here in the Northern Hemisphere. So Libra kind of brings in, it's the start, it's cardinal energy, it's the start of the autumn season. So when we're moving into Scorpio, it's the dead middle point. It's the, yeah, autumn is definitely here now. It's not kind of just moving out of summer and getting ready for autumn. It's like, yeah, autumn's properly here now. And so we tend to actually be a little bit more comfortable in Scorpio season with the idea of that cycle of life, the death and rebirth cycle. We're watching the leaves come off the trees. We're watching fungus growing from the earth. We're looking at this and we're considering how there's a beauty, a real beauty in that change process. And that the leaves that are falling now and settling on the ground, they're fertilizing the earth, ready for something new. And if we can take that approach to our lives right now, then that's really helpful. So the sun moving into Scorpio really helps us to tune into that vibration. I mean, this is death and rebirth. This is, we're moving into Halloween, you know, the clocks are going to change. It's going to get darker. All the horror movies tend to come out at this time of year, and we do the trick or treat and the ghosts and the ghoulies and all of that. And it's because, you know, this natural tuning in to the death and rebirth process of life. So that begins on Friday. What's important here in terms of the moon cycle, this is what we call the first quarter moon. So it's a tense aspect. Again, it's a provocative aspect. And these two are both fixed signs. So it'll be quite potent, I suspect. This is the midway point, the exact midpoint between the new moon and the full moon. So this is where we have a challenge. It's a point of tension. It's kind of like the universe saying, okay, you wanted to start something new. You wanted to bring something into being with the new moon. Let me see how much you really want that. I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to throw a spanner in the works, throw something in the spokes on your wheels and see, you know, how much you really are dedicated to bringing that into reality. So there can be a provocation, there can be a crisis, there can be something that kind of makes us feel like there's a hurdle in the path. But it's very temporary. And that's the thing to bear in mind. Don't be dissuaded. You know, if you've got your heart set on bringing something into manifestation, then this is just asking you to dig a little bit deep, and just kind of come up with a different way. You know, this is Aquarian energy is ruled by Uranus. So it's tapping us into this whole Uranus Mercury thing that's been going on. So yeah, even more of the Uranus stuff, which is thinking outside of the box, doing something that you haven't perhaps tried in the past, doing something completely new, and just really being authentic and just being yourself, no matter what that looks like. You know, just even if it's the most crazy eccentric thing, you know, this is where invention comes from. This is, you know, Aquarian and Uranian energies, it can be real genius stuff. This can be where we have like the most mind-blowing inventions that come up that seem really crazy and sci-fi initially, but then they just become part of normal life. So thinking outside the box, being more authentic, all of those things, this would be the approach to take at this time with the challenge that you face. Okay. And then we move into the weekend. And what we have, as the moon continues her journey on, the dominating energy of the weekend then is the third leg of this kind of table, this wonderful stable table here, this earth energy. Yeah, so this is going to be dominated, the weekend is going to be dominated by having the moon here in Aquarius, really, really thinking outside the box and doing things different, in order to bring about, create some manifest reality here. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. And Saturn is all about endurance. It wants to make things very, very solid, something that's very, very reliable. Okay, so this is really what we want with Venus energy. We don't want something that's just a quick hit of pleasure and it's here 1 minute and gone the next. You know, we want something, you know, that's reliable, something that's going to be around for the long haul. The question that I would ask at this time with this introspective energy, with the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and with this time of redefining the self with the Mars retrograde in Aries, I've got a couple of things that we can tap into here. What will be my lasting legacy of love in this world? Saturn really is about legacy. You know, what is the impression, the impression, how do I make people feel? Essentially, Venus is all about the heart and how I make people feel. So what will be the legacy that I leave in the world? You know, my lasting legacy of love. It's creativity and it's connection. So my relationship with the organization and the structure of life, through potentially a lot here through my work, the work that I do, the way that I serve other people, and my status in this collective that we find ourselves in. And then the second question, and I'll leave you with this: how do I ensure that peace, beauty, and fairness are part of the structure of my life going forward, despite any obstacles or hurdles? So, you know, opportunities, the way that we've experienced opportunities may be becoming very much more restricted. You know, as the rules, Saturn, ramp up again, the restrictions, the talk of lockdowns, you know, the loss of job, the loss of freedoms, the loss of lots and lots of things that we took for granted. You know, Saturn and Capricorn energy, that's where reliability becomes things that we take for granted. you know, and to our detriment sometimes as well. But there are things in life that, you know, we can do a great deal because we can take those things for granted. When I flick the switch, I know the light's going to come on. I don't have to worry about whether that's going to happen. You know, when I open my fridge, I'm very, very fortunate in my system, in my part of the world, that there'll be food in there. You know, the things that we really, really take for granted are the things that we can rely upon. And those things are becoming more restricted, more limited. And we've got to kind of look at that in view of, is that therefore an inherent weakness and vulnerability within the current system? Is it serving us all equally? You know, with the moon in Aquarius, Aquarius is concerned with equality and fairness. You know, is what's going on here equal and fair within the structure and the fabric of society? Or is it something that really, it's time now to change that? Because we should all be able to take certain things for granted in life. We all essentially have a birthright to health, to food, to shelter, all of these things. And so many of these things are missing from so many people's lives. So how do I, Mars, how do I ensure that peace, beauty, and fairness are part of the structure of life going forward, despite these obstacles? So it's really asking us to look at the fundamental underlying values and not confuse those with the means to the end kind of values, and then go, okay, how can I serve other people with my values? And that fairness, you know, I talk about peace, beauty, and fairness with Venus. That's fairness both in terms of justice and equality, but also fairness in terms of grace, in terms of beauty, in terms of art. You know, how do I bring my creativity, my art form to the world to add to the sum total of beauty in the world? Can I put something out there? Can I just add one drop into the ocean of something that's going to be uplifting and supportive and helpful? And it's because it's really going to, the message that's being sent there to Saturn. Saturn's preparing now. Saturn's bringing its cycle to a close and preparing to start a new cycle in Aquarius. That's going to last for 20 years, and I will talk about this more in a separate video. But the opportunity that we have now to influence Saturn, you know, to say, okay, all right, what do I need to do in order to create this new structure, to start this new cycle? We have this opportunity now to have some influence, and have the influence of beauty and love and fairness there. I will stop there. I will leave you with those thoughts, and I really hope that they're helpful to you. As always, please support me and my channel so that I can reach more people. If you do find this helpful and you'd like other people to benefit from it too, then do make sure that you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, because that helps kind of bump it up the algorithm and bring it to the attention of other people. Have a really, really beautiful week. I'm confident that very many of you will, and I'll see you again next week. Until then, lots of love. Bye for now.